Good morning, church. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to honor the woman who first taught me what motherhood truly means, my late mother, Shirley Byard. She was my mentor, my friend, and my forever champion. Everything I know about strength wrapped in grace, I learned by watching her. My sister Sheila and I miss her deeply every single day. But her spirit lives on in us, in the way we love, in the way we lead, and in the way we try to nurture others. My testimony is in many ways a reflection of her legacy. It's such an honor to talk to you here today on this sacred Sunday, Mother's Day. I've been reflecting deeply on what it means to experience motherhood, as Pastor Kaji would say, as a spiritual calling. For some, that calling begins in youth, as our sister said earlier. But for others, it comes later in life, as it did for me. When I first met my husband, Ricardo, he made it clear from the very beginning that his son Jake was the priority. He said, anyone who comes into my life has to be special enough to help me raise him. And that wasn't just a statement, it was a calling, a spiritual one, and I took it very seriously. At the time we met, Jake was only 10 years old, bright-eyed and curious and funny, and already becoming a gentleman. Next week, he turns 20. I've had the best 10 years of my life as his bonus mom. I didn't give birth to him, but God gave him to me, and I am so grateful. Jake is kind and he's smart, and he's the kind of young man who opens doors for others, who checks in with his parents just because, who makes you laugh on those hard days. And when he walks into a room, my heart beats a little faster. In other words, he's just like his father. Through Jake, I came to understand motherhood not as a title, but as a purpose, a divine responsibility. The calling wasn't just to care, it was to nurture, to guide, to love unconditionally. And in answering that call, I found a joy that I never even knew I was missing. The word tells us in Ezekiel 22 and 30 that God sought someone to stand in the gap before me on behalf of the land. And I believe that mothers, biological, spiritual, and chosen, are often the ones who stand in that gap. We become the hedge of protection for our families, shielding them in prayer, presence, and in power. I also want to honor every woman under the sound of my voice who has stood in the gap for a child that was not biologically theirs. The single mothers that are holding it down every single day, the grandmothers who are raising a second generation, the aunties who make sure birthdays are remembered, the godmothers who whisper wisdom when it is needed most. You didn't have to, but you did. You showed up, you sacrificed, and you loved with a fierce protective grace that only comes from above. You are mothers too. And here's the truth that I know from experience. If mama ain't healthy, ain't nobody healthy. We carry so much emotionally and spiritually and physically. If we don't take care of ourselves, everything around us will suffer. That's why this Mother's Day, I'm especially honored to lead the Letters to My Mother campaign nationwide. It invites women to reflect on the legacy of those who raised them, and then to prioritize their own health and wellness in the process. because we can't possibly pour into others if we are empty ourselves. I believe that caring for our bodies is just as spiritual as caring for our children. God gave us these vessels to serve our families, our communities, and our purpose. And I am here to remind every mother, every caregiver, every woman in this room, you are worthy of that same care. Prioritize your screenings. Honor your wellness. Love yourself enough to stay here healthy and whole for the people who love you. Motherhood is a calling, and I thank God every single day that I was chosen to answer it. Not in the way that I expected, but in a way that was perfectly designed for me. Happy Mother's Day, and may every woman who nurtures a child, by birth, by heart, or by calling, know just how deeply she is valued. Amen.